It's old Greg. Look at my mangina.
Y'all, do you know what that's from? Old Greg? Damien? Old Greg?
No.
Oh, God, boys. That's worth a YouTube watch later tonight, you
Is
know?
it a movie
Cool.
or just like
It's just
clip of
a
something?
comedy skit. It's most like, I guarantee it's on YouTube.
You know,
Old Greg,
should probably
hilarious.
get this way.
And also ages me, because that's like a 20-year-old fucking thing. Because I remember that came out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Hilarious, bro.
All right.
Start.
All right. We're here in Carolton, Georgia, and I'm talking to my friend Cole Harrelson, and I'm gonna ask him some questions about his feelings on the election, who he's voting for, and why. And just real quick, Cole, like, you can give your, a brief description of, just who you are,
Okay.
a little bit about your story, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, I'm 33, was born in Atlanta, Georgia, grew up in Atlanta, not Atlanta area, Georgia boy. Was raised in a conservative Republican household, Christian. Went to private Christian school all through until graduating high school. Joined the Marine Corps in 2010. Got to see the world a little bit. Was stationed in Japan for a few years. Got out in 2014. Started going to college in 2016 at University of West Georgia. Got my degree in anthropology and a minor in creative writing. Since then, just kind of worked odd jobs, a lot of farm jobs, and I would say while I was in the Marines, I probably was more Democrat leaning. The first time I ever voted, I voted for Obama in his second term. And then...
So how old were you your first time you voted?
See, that would have been while I was in Japan, so I would have been 19 or 20.
Okay. All right.
Since then, after going to school, I originally wanted to be an anesthesiologist, but I suck at math and science. And I took an anthropology class and just for a credit and just loved it. Like,
yeah.
I loved learning, I'd had a little bit of world experience traveling at that point, kind of tasted what Mark Twain said about, like, disdain is born from the mind that has never interacted with people unlike yourself.
Right.
And then after college, I would say I didn't really actually start paying attention to politics until the 2012 election.
Okay.
The 2016 election is when I actually started learning about the ins and outs and intricacies of politics, and not just, I have my opinion, this is what I believe, this is how I vote.
Right.
So now where I stand is, I don't really believe in either of the two parties. I would say that's because I just feel like they both do nothing but lie. They'll just say whatever they need to say to get elected, and then nothing really changes. Like,
yeah. Would you say that your family is conservative leaning or more liberal leaning?
My family's more conservative leaning. I think they voted. My dad and my mom, voted for Trump. But what's interesting about this go around and the votes with, Trump running against Kamala and running against Biden, I've seen my parents both kind of move towards the middle where they're still gonna vote for Trump, but they're not happy about it.
Okay.
Even a big change was my dad told me this year that he's like, I think not voting is an option for people.
Really? So he's not hardcore MAGA?
No.
You wouldn't consider him one of the hardcore Trump supporters.
No, I would say
He's not storming the Capitol.
No, he's just a lifelong conservative.
Sure. Okay.
And
conservative in a traditional sense.
yes, traditional sense.
Okay, because that is the difference, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Trump, he's changed the Republican Party and the kind of what is considered conservative, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, he's not considered a conservative, like traditional.
Yeah. If Trump is conservative, I think he's more of a fringe conservative. He's the new definition of conservative, which previously, and like my mom doesn't really pay that much attention to politics. She votes more from a religious perspective, where like something that's very important to her is abortion. She's
Right.
very against it.
Obviously, a huge issue.
Mhm.
Abortion, whether or not you support it or not.
Yeah.
Speaking from there, what is to you? What is the most important issue to you? That we're facing
Right now, I would say that we are doing the Roman Empire. We are massively overextended militarily around the world, and that I don't see the stability in that. I don't see the I don't buy into the all these actions all over the place are protecting me or you or anybody. I really feel like the military industrial complex is running the show.
right. And coming from that background, you've experienced it yourself. Probably,
Oh, yeah.
You know more than somebody who hasn't served.
Well, and I joined the Marines because I grew up with a deep respect for the military, and really believing the principle of like that is protecting freedom, and that's duty and honor, and that I wanted to help with that. But being in the military kind of changed my opinion and made me realize that it's far more of a corporate structuring, and like I saw firsthand how government contractors are costing the taxpayer out the ass.
Right.
Like we had these trailers that we would move around the ordnance on, and they had these little brackets this big, just a piece of sheet metal with 4 holes and this like a hook. And we would pay through the contractors to get that one piece was $400.
Right. Just
there's like 20.
ridiculous
There's
cost.
like 20 of them on the trailer.
Yeah.
I could go to Home Depot and find the exact same thing. Exact same size, exact thickness, same metal, made by the same company. But instead of it being OD green, military green, it was black.
And of course.
And we weren't allowed to use that. We could not buy that and use that. You know how much it costs at Home Depot? $4.50.
Right. So
And we're paying $400.
Right. A gross mismanagement of funds.
What's that? 1,000%?
Right.
That's
right.
crazy.
And I think that most people would agree that our military spending is out of control. Yes, we want defense. We want to be able to defend our country, but at what cost, right?
Yeah, and defense is here.
Right.
Defense is not everywhere in the whole world. Like, I don't no longer buy into the we must be operating in the Middle East to protect ourselves at home. Like, the amount of money that we're spending on the military and keeping 800 military bases around the world operational and keeping the largest Navy in the world with 70% constant deployment, that money, we could operate an incredibly strong defense, keeping it at home, ready for whatever's going to happen for a fraction of the cost. And then also, we could use the military personnel as civil servants.
Right.
If we're not having to deploy all over the place, let's take our, it's about, I think it's like 750,000 active duty service members or whatever it's up to now. I haven't kept up with it, but Hurricane Helene just rolled through.
Right.
And some military are activated and trained for these sort of things, but we need massive infrastructure work in this country, and we have the Army Corps of Engineers that does help somewhat with that. But if they could tap, these 100,000 people that are deployed all over the world and be like, look, go help your citizens.
Right.
You're the military. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
That's what you say your mission is.
Right.
So do it. Let's use that money at home. And when a hurricane rolls through, there shouldn't even be a debate about whether the military is being deployed to help out or to what level they are or aren't helping out. It shouldn't even be a question. It should be, the hurricane hits, it's gone, I know they're coming.
Right.
I know they're going to come help me.
So expanding on that, do you believe that the money that we're sending to the Ukraine and to Israel is a good investment? Do you think that it, overall that it helps us in defending ourselves or actually creates more problems?
No, it's creating more problems. I mean, a couple weeks ago, Lindsey Graham said it himself. Well, we need to fight Russia over there so we don't have to fight them over here.
Right.
And with Israel is certainly not making us safer.
Right.
We're bedfellows with a terrible partner right now.
Right.
That's doing nothing but putting us in danger in the future. We're not making friends. We're making enemies.
Would you say that the forever wars and the war on terrorism, if it was up to you, is that something that you would end? Or is that something that you feel like, okay, the war on terrorism is something that, we can't afford to stop? Or do you think that, the war on terrorism is something that is just inevitable? And what would you say in that regard?
Conflict is inevitable. There's always going to be somebody trying to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But what are we up to? 23, 24 plus years of, and it's not war, because we haven't had a proper war we haven't had Congress come together and declare a war on anybody since I believe Vietnam.
Yeah, it's very interesting, right?
We're just doing these, I forget the actual, the name, but it's not war.
Right.
We're just doing missions.
Right.
And no, I don't.
Military operations.
Yeah, and
right.
I don't think it's helping. It's, we're not supposed to be the world's police force.
Right. So you believe that what we're doing currently in our foreign policy is not making us safer?
No. I mean, my personal belief is that Israel's goal from the beginning was to annex Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
And it's starting to be there openly admitting that.
Mm-hmm.
And can we fight terrorism to the end? No, because it's an ideology.
Right.
And you can't kill an ideology. What ideology has been successfully killed? You could say, oh, well, the Native American ideology was successfully killed, but it is not. There are still practitioners of, the traditional ways. Mm-hmm. It's not dead.
That's right.
It's highly diminished, and I'll put it to you this way. Let's say, one of your family members, America thinks is a terrorist, so they bomb your house.
Mm-hmm.
And they kill your dad and your sister or whatever. What are you more likely to do at that point? Are you more likely to drop your beliefs or your family's beliefs? Or are you more likely to pick up the sword where it fell and continue on?
Yeah, I believe that most people can understand that concept. It's basic human nature, right?
So we're bombing the hell. We're supplying the weapons. We're supplying the money. So we are complicit in what's happening in Gaza.
Right.
And we're creating the next group terrorists.
Yeah. So
You know?
so are you abstaining from voting this election?
No, I'm not abstaining from voting. I'm gonna vote third party,
Okay.
and I'm most likely gonna vote for the Green Party, Jill Stein, even though I don't necessarily believe her policies or believe that she has a shot.
Mm-hmm.
But my reasoning for voting third party is the two-party system and how it functions. The lesser of two evils ideology. There can't be a third party, it'll never work.
Right.
I think that's the only thing that even stands a chance of enacting real change.
Right.
Because, so my reasoning for voting third party is in the hopes that whatever third party I end up voting for can get 6% of the vote, so that next go around I want to see another person on the debate stage. I want to see the news having to dedicate time to other ideas instead of just blatantly ignoring them because they don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, they don't stand a chance this go around. But my hope would be that in the elections to come, that we get some more options. We need to move away from this, there's only two options, the lesser of two evils. Oh, I don't really like either side, but I'm going to pick this one, because, that it has the best chance.
Okay.
I want to see, no, I'm voting, I want people to vote for what they actually agree with. And if there's only two things you agree with for a political candidate, and then everything else you don't agree with,
Mm-hmm.
they don't really agree. You're not in agreement with them.
Right.
So I'd like people to be able to really look at policy,
Yeah.
and individual topics, and say, well, this person, I actually agree with them the most, and so that's where I'm going to vote.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to vote with their heart and with their head, and not because they're scared.
Right. Fear. Yeah.
Fear.
is a unfortunately it's used on both sides, right? It's used.
Oh, sure.
In politics, fear is a great motivator, unfortunately.
Well, and that's what vote for the lesser of two evils. So you're still voting for evil.
Mm-hmm.
So you're definitely voting from a position of fear.
Right.
It's just, which one do you fear more?
Right. Now, if you had, let's say you had a magic wand and you could change anything, any policy, anything, without any repercussion, you were king for a day and you get to make any change that you would like. What is the one change that you would make about this country, if you had that kind of power?
Reinstitute Citizens United. No more corporations get to put money into election campaigns.
Okay. Take money out of politics.
Yeah, if you're an individual person, you get, max $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
You do your research, you decide who your candidate is, you give them your $5,000, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's, grassroots
No more
raising the money. No more
super PACs.
No more super PACs. No more, billionaires running company that have friends in government, and they're picking who is going to be the best for them.
Yeah.
I think the citizens should be able to pick who's best for them.
Yeah.
And that billionaire, he's got $5,000 too.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, there's a lot that I would like to see change. I'd like to see education reform. I'd like to see, lots of stuff. But the biggest problem that I see is regular people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of money. I can't buy influence.
Right.
But the people that can buy influence, they are buying it.
Right. Right. And last question. Where do you see this country in 10 years? I know it's a very broad, stroke here, and, I think a lot of people thinking into the future can be a scary thing, but, honestly, I just like to know, where do you see us in 10 years?
think it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's just the way that it's gonna be, because it's not that I'm happy about this, but I don't think enough Americans are feeling the heat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think a lot of us are still voting from a fear-based place and not from a informed, hope-based state of mind. So I think in 10 years, you know, that's what, 2.5 elections from now. I think in 10 years we might actually start to turn the corner. That if it continues getting worse at the rate that, let's say, it's gotten in the last 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
that we will end up in a position where people will be, sadly, in enough pain that they will be forced to actually confront the fear.
Yeah.
And that's the only way through fear.
Mm-hmm.
You can't run from it, because it's not going to stop.
Sure.
You know, you at some point, and we have to come together. You know, the way that America has ended up, so many people are just fighting for themselves. They're just scrapping to the next rent check. They're just scrapping for the next meal.
Right.
And until a good percentage of people come together and say, I can only control what I can control. So what we have control over is what's immediately around us.
Mm-hmm.
So until your community can come together to the local government and say, we actually don't like that,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't need that, and we're not going to do that, and we have each other to make sure that that is not going to happen. And then it'll get larger. Then it'll go to the county, then to the state. You know, once there's a general consensus amongst a region, hey, you're hurting us. We don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to stand together and say, look, I don't agree. Maybe I don't agree with everything my neighbor does, but I want to see him eat.
Right.
I want to see his kids eat. I want to see them be able to pursue their dreams. I disagree with a couple political issues with you. Like,
Right.
my garden is open. And
But
I
that's-
think if we can start to move towards that, that
Yeah.
in 10 years we'll start to see people stand up and demand more options and demand and be reliant.
Mm-hmm.
And to be like, look, we're done being manipulated. We don't want this super PAC money anymore. Like, we want to be what America is telling us that it is, a representative democracy.
Right. Well, I appreciate you being candid with me, you know, being truthful. You know, this whole project that, you know, I'm embarking on is one to, you know, seek out truth. You know, I just want to speak to people and prove to people that we can still talk to one another, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And that is what Zatesis means, and that is what our goal at Z News is going to be, is to try to seek out that truth without judgment, you know, without mudslinging, because, you know, the reality is we are more alike than we are different, you know. And
we need diversity. There
yeah.
needs to be diversity. Nope,
Of
not
course.
everyone can't
Yeah.
think the same thing, obviously, but
Sure.
nature thrives with diversity.
Yeah.
We will also thrive with diversity. But nature also works together in a lot of instances.
Yeah.
We also need to find ways to work together despite differences.
Yeah.
Hey, I disagree with you on that, but we can go work on this together.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got your back on this.
Right.
But, you know, I respectfully disagree. Still like you.
That's right.
Still love you. Still want to see you eat.
Still my neighbor.
Still my neighbor.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you
Absolutely.
for talking to me today. I appreciate it. And, you know, I think that with more people thinking, you know, along these lines, that we will turn that corner. And I'm glad that it warms my heart to know that you're hopeful, you know, for the future. And I, you know, one person at a time, you know?
Yep.
We can get there. And I appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. It is possible.
All right.
The thesis.
That's
The truth. That's it.
right.
The truth.
That's
Oh
right.
My God.
Your arm dead?
Thank you.
Jesus.
I think that went pretty. I think
Got
that
your workout for the day.
I think that went pretty damn
you
well.
have no idea.
I think that went really well. I like that. How long was that?
25.
Perfect. Perfect. That was I was thinking in my mind anywhere between 15 30 minutes
Yeah.
for an interview, you know. I don't want it to be